So what I would like to do now is add some variation to these, so they're all kind of lined up at the moment, and also we're only using the one coffee bean for the whole thing. So I want to include all of my geometry and add some variation to the orient of these. So to do that, we're going to use a node called the attribute randomize. Let's place it after the merge, and by default you can see we've got colors. So by default it is randomizing the color attribute for each point. So here you can kind of see it. Maybe if I press D, background dark, you can see the colors of each point has changed, and then the copy to points will copy the color here. Oh well, this star means everything except for these. Okay, so color is part of everything, so it will apply the color attributes to the geometry that it copies. But we don't want to work with color, so we want to work with orient. Okay, we want to affect the orient, and the orient is on points. We need 4 dimensions for the orient to work, and there we have it. Okay, between 0 and 1, and we have some nice random rotations or orients. Okay, so next thing we need to do is change the geometry randomly. Have a random sort of this geometry. So first we need, instead of merge, we need something else called a switch. Take a switch node, select all of these, connect them to that, delete the merge, and connect that. So what the switch does, you got any number of inputs that you like, and you can switch between them depending on the value in here. You'll get a different switch, okay, between 0, 1, 2. So you can see the dotted line means that they are not passing through at the moment. The solid line is active, which is input 0, 0, 1, and 2. Just to help us visualize, I'm going to put some color nodes down. So here, make that one a nice red, this one green, and this one will do pink. Okay, purely for visualization. So what we need on each point which we're passing through here, we need to generate a different number, so either a 0, a 1, or a 2, or close to those numbers, so that we can select a different piece of geometry each time. So to do that, we need a for each loop, in this case for each point. So let's place that down. So here we get 2 nodes, and this is a way of iterating over a group, not over a group, but over well, in this case points. So it will go iterate over each individual point and then perform some task that we give it, one after the other. Okay, so it can be either done over each point, over each primitive, or if you have an attribute, you can use that also. So we need to go over our points, so iterating over the points, doing something, performing a task. So we need the points going into the right input of the copy to stamp, and the geometry going into the left input. And let's take a look at that. So that's doing, at the moment, nothing at all, exactly the same thing. Okay, and we can actually, a good way to solve problems is use this single pass. So this will, this is going over, you know, the first point coming in. You can go to the next one and so forth. So you can kind of check what's going on if you have any problems. So we'll turn that off. Okay, so what I'd like is to generate a random number based on what iteration we are on. And to access the information for which iteration we're on, we need to create, if we go to select this top node here, create this meta import node. And what this node does is gives you access to some information, right? So if we go back to the geometry spreadsheet, we're going to look at the information that's on this node. Okay, it doesn't have any geometry in it, it's just an empty node, but it does have iterations. Okay, so if I, you can see there, I got 499 iterations. It begins with 0. So from 0 to 499 gives us 500. Okay, and we need access to this detail. So what we'll do for each iteration is generate a random number based on this number. Okay, we'll use this number as a seed to change our random number. And then we will place that number in the switch. Right? So to do that, we're going to type a an expression in here. So in the box, click in the box and press Alt-E. You don't have to do this, but it's just easier, it gives you more space to type. And here we're going to type an expression. The name of the expression is detail. So that means I want the information from the detail. If you remember here in the geometry spreadsheet, in the detail, this is detail. As you can see, when I hover over it, it says detail. Also on detail, we got two attributes, iteration and enumeration. Okay, so this means give me the detail information of, so then we need open and closed brackets to indicate that this is a function. And then the first arguments, the information that the function needs is where do you want the information from. Okay, at the moment, is it from here or from here, but we want to point to this. Okay, so when we give the name of something, we need to put the quote marks. So we got detail, and then we put // to exit our current location, right? And then if we start to write the name for each, you should just give you the option. Okay, so Houdini knows you're looking for one of these. You can just click on that and that's done for you. Okay, so we want the detail information from this node, and then another, don't forget to put another quote mark there. Okay, and then a comma to separate the next argument. So the detail attribute that we want, so there are two, there's iteration and numerations. We're going to use iteration there, and then the last argument is just a default of 0. Okay, and that's not everything, but let's apply that and see what happens. Okay, and I'll close this. So there, I'll hide the grid because we don't need to see that. Well, you can see we've got one of these, and then a whole bunch of the pink ones. So why is that? So this value is 0. So when we access this information, when we're on iteration 0, we get one of these. Next time it goes round the loop, we get iteration number 1. and then we get one of these, which are green, and then we get iteration number 2, and we get a pink one, and then anything above that, the switch will select the last input. Okay, so that's why we got that, which is no good for us. So what we need to do is generate a random number instead of just taking that iteration number as it is. So again, Alt E, make sure you click here first, and what we're going to do is use all of this as a seed for a random number. So we just type at the beginning rand, open bracket, close bracket, apply. Okay, so now getting closer. Now we've just got 2. So why is that? So that's because rand will generate a random number between 0 and 1. So 0, the green one, red one, and 1, which is the green one. So the last thing we need to do is change these numbers, is not rearrange them, but rescale them to be between 0 and 2. And we use another function again. Press Alt and E to open that one more time. And we will use a function called fit01. Okay, so we're going to take a value which is between 0 and 1. Okay, a lot of Houdini works in the 0 to 1 range. And we're going to rescale it to values that we select. Okay, so fit01 at the beginning, open brackets again, and then at the end we need to put a comma, and then I want my values to go between 0 and 2, and then close bracket to complete the function, apply and accept, and there we have it. We got a nice even random distribution of all of our geometry. Perfect.